The drumming you just heard is your invitation to settle in and prepare for our worship service. Please put your phones and devices in airplane mode for the duration of the service. This keeps them quiet and helps us provide a higher quality stream for our siblings attending virtually. Or sit. Please know that whoever you are, wherever you are from, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to San Gabriel Unitarian Universal Fellowship. Whether you are here in the sanctuary or watching at home, whether you are here with us for the first time or the 1,000th, we are glad you are here. My name is Heather McCare. My pronouns are she, her, and I am honored to serve as your lay leader this morning. My family and I have been attending San Gabriel UU since August of 2023. We feel that we have found our home in the kind and accepting environment that this congregation provides. San Gabriel is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. We are a movement working for a just, peaceful, and sustainable world. Sustaining each other here in community is one part of that work.
Good morning. My name is Kelly McGinty, and my pronouns are she, her. I am honored to serve as your service leader today. I currently serve the congregation as the leader of the Full Moon Drum Circle, and I am also a member of the board. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the sampling of drumming we did for you this morning, and everyone is welcome to attend any of our Full Moon Drum Circles. Now I'm going to light the chalice. I have an alternative chalice lighting for today. The abundance of our lives together. We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustain us. These words were written by Katie Gelfand. Let us greet this day in song. Our opening hymn is Our Praise We Give, number 294 in the Gray Hymnal. We are singing all three. The lyrics will be projected. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able.
Our praise we give for harvest done, the fruits of labor garnered in. But praise we more the soul unburned, from which the yield is yet to win. Our praise we give for harbor free, for mooring safe in water still, but more the leagues of open sea, where favoring gales of canvas fill. We as are in our journey's end, the in all warmth and light and cheer, but more for lengthening roads and wind, through that and heat and hilltops clear.
Hello again. So, for this particular service, we are very close to the autumn equinox, which is actually tomorrow. And we have kind of combined the service into a harvest equinox social justice thing. But this portion of the service, we are going to do a meditation on the four directions. In the pagan tradition, which is grounded in a respect and reverence for the natural world, calling upon the four directions is the usual way to begin any ceremony. Each direction is associated with an element of the natural world and represents some part of our human nature as well. The directions are not seen as separate and isolated, but rather as part of the interdependent system that makes up the world. Here on our altar, we have the symbolic elements for each direction, and we will travel through the meanings associated with each direction before entering into a time of brief meditation. So we begin in the east. And in this sanctuary, north actually lines up here. Okay. So east would be here. We begin in the east toward the rising sun. The element of the east is air, represented on our altar by a feather. Air and breath give us life. It is the direction of inspiration, the word that literally means to take in air. The east is associated with the mind, with knowledge and learning and intellectual curiosity. Imagine the birds turning and wheeling in the air. Imagine the breeze blowing through your hair. Turning toward the east, we look for a fresh start, an invigorating breath, a new idea. When you are feeling stuck in a rut, beholden to a routine, or if the wind has gone out of your sails, look to the east. We move around the wheel to the south. The element of the south is fire. And in the southern place on our altar, the flame of our chalice burns bright. For today, we are using an electric candle. Fire is a transformative force. It is heat and light and powerful change. In the northern hemisphere, it makes sense that we associate the south towards the equator with the warmth of the sun and the heat of the flame. We see birds move to the south, butterflies move south, whales move south, seeking warmer places when the water gets cold. When our internal weather gets cold, turning to the south is a metaphor for turning toward warmth and daylight, seeking out the changes that will warm us up, get our blood moving, call us out of our winters, out of hibernation, and into action. Fire is closely associated with transformation and action. Continuing around the circle, arriving to the west, the element of the west is water. And here on our altar, we have some of the water collected from our in-gathering service. We add to this water each year, symbolizing the way we come together in our community as individual drops join into a mighty river. In the West, we are drawn into the experience of our emotions. It is a direction that calls us to self-reflection and self-understanding. Our emotions move in us much like water, flowing through our lives, sometimes calm and sometimes turbulent, but always flowing. When we dam up our feelings, just like when we dam up a river, the pressure builds until it finds an outlet. If you are seeking to get in touch with your inner life, with your emotions, turn toward the west. Now we move to the north. The element of the north is earth, represented here by some of the dirt from our very own garden. I even threw in a little pecan nut. There is stability here, the ground of our being. The north represents the places that hold us, that allow us time and space to heal and grow, to feel nurtured and respected. It is also the place of embodiment, of connecting with our physical self, with the concrete, tangible world around us. The North calls to you if you are seeking balance, the deep wisdom that lives within your bones, a place of rest and recovery. We have now moved through the four directions, given them shape and meaning: east, air, breath, inspiration; south, fire, transformation, and action; west, water, feeling and reflection; north, earth, balance, wisdom, and nurturing. Now I invite you to turn toward the direction that calls to you today. You can sit in your seat or you can stand. You can turn your head or your whole body, but orient yourself toward one of the four directions. You can even do this in your mind's eye. You don't have to necessarily move around. So in your mind's eye, you can close your eyes and orientate yourself to the direction that is calling to you. East, inspiration; south, action; west, reflection; north, wisdom. I'm going to ring the bowl, and we will have a brief pause on meditation. Thank you. I got to cheat because I almost always pick fire, which is action, and I'm already facing this direction. So I was like, yes, I am in alignment. At this time, we will be singing the children out. Ow!
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of love surround
Sometimes we are carrying something in our heart that can prevent us from being fully present. Here in this community, our sharing of these things with each other is medicine. It is part of our healing. As good medicine, it must be concentrated and potent. So you are invited to aim at 2 to 3 strong sentences. So if you are carrying a joy or sorrow or both on your heart, I invite you to raise your hand for the microphone. Heather will come around. And now we are going to have a choir performance performing Ancient Mother, arranged by Jim Scott.
Hear your laughter, ancient mother, I taste your tears. Feel free to join us. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
I invite you into a place of deeper stillness. After the reading, we will have a period for quiet meditation, contemplation, or prayer. This morning's reading comes from Lori Hilvan. Fall Equinox Meditation. Pause. Balance in the center. Between the longest and the shortest days. Equinox. The wheel of the year turns and turns again. The air cools, days shorten. The sun seems to weaken, barely clearing the horizon after rising. Before beginning its descent, this is our opportunity now to pause. Balanced, breathing in, breathing out, knowing this present moment in time, the present moment is all we're guaranteed. Like the sun moving toward the shortest day, each moment arises and is gone before we know it. This is the time to pause and consider. As we enter the season of contemplation, of increasing darkness, of lying fallow, of dormancy, this is the season of letting go, of lightening burdens, of preparing for a period of being still and going deep. Pause and consider. Binaries, dark and light, hot and cold, chaos and order. Neither extreme is inherently good or bad. Rather, it is a matter of balance, of honoring the spectrum for which binaries mark the endpoints. Today, we mark a midpoint between summer and winter solstice, a time to seek balance and be free.
Hello again. I am really excited to be here this Sunday. I honestly don't know how Eric does this every week. I've been lay leader before. I love being lay leader because they're like, can you lay lead? And I'm like, yes, I can lay lead. And then they hand you a script and you're like, all right, But then when they're like, hey, can you lay lead? Just kidding, can you lead? Then you're like, oh, there's more. So I'm really excited. I am really excited to be here. I'm mostly excited because I get to share some of the more neo-pagan, earth-centered practices that are typically included around this time of year. I was really excited about putting up the altar. We do this every drum circle because I wanted people to see that it's like actually a really beautiful thing. It's not necessarily like a scary thing, and it doesn't have to be super intricate. It can be very simple. Tomorrow is the equinox, so this was great timing. The date coincides with one of the 8 neo-pagan holidays, which is Mabon. Mabon is super closely associated with the harvest and often includes gratitude for the bounty that the earth provides, but it also incorporates gratitude for the wisdom that we have gained in the previous year, which is also considered a bounty. It's a time to reflect on our own gratitude before we begin the start of what we call the dark season. Ever increasing night and decreasing daylight all through Samhain, which is our Halloween, and reaching peak darkness on the winter solstice, which is the longest night of the year. So to honor this time, we have incorporated drumming into today's service. The altar, which I've already mentioned, the harvest meditation that Heather did such a great job on. I love that San Gabriel has always been such a welcoming community to such a wide variety of spiritual beliefs. I'll never forget about 6.5, maybe 7 years ago when our previous DRE stood at the pulpit and said, and Kelly's Wiccan. And I was like, no, I'm not a Wiccan. I was like, but Wiccanism is paganism, but I'm not, no, no. And it was really sweet to be able to have that, to be able to have a community that I could be who I am, share who I am, and also find other like-minded people. So we do have a wonderful community of people here. As I said earlier, when I was first asked to be a part of this service, I was asked to serve as the lay leader. Then I was invited to the social justice meeting where I found out that there was no leader for me to lay lead for. So this is how I ended up in front of you guys today. I was a little confused at first, but to be honest, I didn't mind. Like I said, I really do enjoy being a part of this spiritual community, and I do think that this is a beautiful opportunity. The social justice team proceeded to fill me in, Every third Sunday of the month, we are going to be focusing on a social justice related issue. I listened to various members talk about how we could tie social justice into harvest. I listened to people talk about food insecurity, food deserts, and other inequities related to food. I didn't know exactly how I was going to tie all this in, but I got some good insights, and I knew I would be able to come up with something. So mostly I just started to think. I started to think about food. The first thing that caught my attention was eggs. I was literally at the grocery store looking at this wall of eggs, and there are like 9 different kinds of eggs. There's pasteurized, there's organic, standard, free range, cage-free, vegetarian fed, omega-3 fatty acids. And then I got completely overwhelmed by the eggs. Definitely not over easy. And man, food is really complicated. It's really complicated. So I was on to my next thought, which was still that food was really complicated. And then I was just like, what do I even know about this? What do I know about food? What are my experiences? How do I relate to food on the level of social justice? My background is in anthropology, sociology, women's studies, and psychology. So seriously, what is my experience with food? So I started, and I am a white, female human being in America that eats food. Great, now I can start. I wanted to remember the first time I critically thought about food, other than like, how am I gonna afford it, prepare it, eat it? And then I remembered a little gem of a book titled Fast Food Nation by Eric Schlosser. This book was first published in 2001. The latest afterword was actually written in 2012, which was like a year after my 14-year-old daughter was born. And I couldn't help but really start wondering, it's been almost 25 years, right, since this book has been written. How has it aged? How has that 25-year-old book aged? So I revisited the book in its entirety and reread it. And I'm not going to rehash the book for you guys because that would be super boring, and I'm not going to do that. But from a social justice standpoint, it talked about the impact of fast, cheap food on American culture, and more specifically on poor, cash-strapped Americans. The juiciest bits of the book talk about governmental policies and corporate greed that make keeping us unhealthy possible. And Heather is going to read the very first paragraph of the afterword that was written in 2012, which was basically 11 years after the book was first published.
More than a decade has passed since Fast Food Nation was published, and I'd love to report that the book is out of date, that the many problems it describes has been solved, and that the Golden Arches are now the symbol of a fallen empire like the pyramids at Giza. Sadly, that is not the case. Every day, about 65 million people eat at a McDonald's restaurant somewhere in the world, more than ever before. The annual revenues of America's fast food industry, adjusted for inflation, have risen by about 20% since 2001. The number of fast food ads aimed at children has greatly increased as well. The typical preschooler now sees about 3 fast food ads on television every day. The typical teenager sees about 5. The endless barrage of ads, toys, contests, and marketing gimmicks has fueled not only fast food sales, but also a wide range of diet-related illnesses. About 2/3 of the adults in the United States are obese or overweight. The obesity rate among preschoolers has doubled in the past 30 years. The rate among children aged 6 to 11 has tripled. And by some odd coincidence, the annual cost of the nation's obesity epidemic, about $168 billion, as calculated by researchers at Emory University, is the same as the amount of money Americans spent on fast food in 2011.
Food in America is so much more deeply political than I remembered or understood. I mean, I know that it's unfair that organic foods are so much costlier than their non-organic counterparts. I know that because most of my eating life, I have been shut out of that option. Those of you in the congregation that know me know that for the majority of Nola's life, I have been a single mom. Nola is my 14-year-old daughter. We started coming here when she was about 6. I split from her father when she was about a year old, and I didn't meet Stephen, shout out to Stephen, until she was 12. So I spent 12 years as a single mother. I had to get very creative when finding ways to create our lives. And that creativity did not include organic chicken. Honestly, if I knew then what I know now, I might have tried a little harder to figure that out. But here we are. When we know better, we try to do better. So back to the social justice of it all. I started digging around. Fast Food Nation is clearly not out of date by any means. In fact, in the past 12 years since it's been written, I'm sure that it's even a larger issue. But I also did wonder what else was out there in terms of literature post-pandemic, something more recent. And I ran across a book, and it's called Ruin Their Crops on the Ground: The Politics of Food in the United States from the Trail of Tears to School Lunch. That's a lot, right? That sounds like a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. And I even wrote that. It says, this book was a lot. It is the culmination of 15 years of research. And if you're into this kind of thing, which I honestly think that in this congregation we kind of are, it is a page turner. It really is. I couldn't put it down. It was incredibly interesting. For the purpose of this talk today, we are going to read the inside sleeve of the book.
In 1779, to subjugate indigenous nations, George Washington ordered his troops to ruin their crops now in the ground and prevent their planting more. Destroying harvests is just one way that the United States has used food as a political tool, trying to prevent enslaved people from rising up. Enslavers restricted their consumption, provided barely enough food to fuel labor. Since the Great Depression, school lunches have served as dumping grounds for unwanted agricultural surpluses. From fry bread to government cheese, Ruin Their Crops on the Ground draws on more than 15 years of research to argue that U.S. food law and policy have created and maintained racial and social inequality. In an epic, sweeping account, Andrea Freeman, who pioneered the term food oppression, moves from colonization to slavery, to the Americanization of immigrants, to the commodities supplied to Indian reservations, to milk as a symbol of white supremacy. She traces the long-standing alliance between the government and food industries that has produced gaping racial health disparities. And she shows how these practices continue to this day by allowing racially targeted marketing of unhealthy foods and programs that funnel those foods into marginalized communities. The result is high rates of diabetes, hypertension, and even premature death. Ruin Their Crops on the Ground is a groundbreaking addition to the history and politics of food and its critical role in colonization, inequality, and oppression. It will permanently upend the notion that we freely and equally choose what we put on our plates.
There is no way for me to stand up here and convey to you everything I learned from reading this book. Instead, I'm going to tell you a story about myself because I am the leader of this little TED Talk, and they gave me a lot of individual freedom. So a little background on me. I was adopted when I was 10 years old within my paternal family by my paternal cousin. I know that's a little bit to unpack, so if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask me after. The man who is my father, the man who raised me, was career military. My father was a colonel in the Army, and at one point they sent him, and by default us, my mother and myself, to what they call the U.S. Army War College. So War College is really for the colonels that they're kind of vetting to be general, like maybe this guy would be good at this. It's a lot of tactical stuff. I didn't know that then. I was 10. So I didn't know. I just knew we moved to Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Carlisle Barracks is actually the second oldest active military base in the country, only second to West Point, which I thought that was interesting. I knew it was old. I didn't know it was that old. Some of my fondest memories of my childhood are from the year that we spent on this base. There were so many other children my age. We ran around. We ran that place. I mean, you do not want to get in snowball fights with military brats. We ice those things. Yeah, it can be a lot. I moved there straight from Texas, and it was my first time that I experienced snow. And I need everyone to know that I did not see snow, I experienced snow. It was just incredible. I really did. I loved it there. I couldn't even convey all of the wonderful memories I have of this place. And they had this great little movie theater that you could walk through the park, and it would show a single movie every Friday night, and I got to see Harry and the Hendersons in that movie theater with my little gang of Army brats, and it was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was seriously like, I still to this day, sorry. I still to this day count it as probably the best year of my life. So, imagine my surprise when in my studies at the University of Florida 8 years later, I discovered that this same barracks was the site of the very first Native American boarding schools established by the BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It was a shock to think that the place that I had literally spent the best year of my life had such a dark history. And Heather will read part of page 22 for us.
A new site of food coercion emerged toward the end of the century, Indian boarding schools. The schools were the brainchild of Captain Richard Henry Pratt, who insisted that children's immersion in English language and culture was the way to achieve assimilation. His proposal offered a solution to seemingly endless and expensive wars against indigenous nations. Pratt served in the U.S. military, where he spent 8 years fighting in the Plains Wars and the Red River War of the 1870s. Charged with escorting capturing combatants to Florida's Fort Marion at war's end. He mused that if wild turkeys could be domesticated, then surely Indians could be civilized. To prove his point, Pratt experimented on the prisoners, replacing their traditional clothing with Army uniforms and cutting off their hair, a practice that traditionally signaled an expression of grief over the loss of a loved one or another traumatic event. Pratt was pleased with the academic performance of his captives at both Fort Marion and the Hampton Normal and Agricultural Institute, a school initially founded to teach free black men. His next step was to lobby Congress for funds to establish Pennsylvania's Carlisle Indian Industrial School, the first federal Indian boarding school. He famously explained his philosophy. A great general has said that the only good Indian is a dead one. In a sense, I agree with the sentiment, but only in this, that all the Indian there is in the race should be dead. Kill the Indian in him and save the man.
I always wondered why Native American families would give their children over to a boarding school. I wondered why Native people would even agree to relocation. How did the Trail of Tears even happen? Why would people willingly leave their ancestral homelands, the lands that they farmed the three sisters, corn, squash, and beans, the lands where they knew the patterns of the animals they hunted, and the lands where they had buried their ancestors? In this book, I got my answer, and the answer was food. They used starvation and crop destruction and the killing of all of the game, all of the buffalo, and the elk. They strategically starved them, and then they forced them to be dependent on government rations, ruined their crops to the ground. When the soldiers would come for the children, they would tell the families that if they did not hand the children over, they would not receive the rations that they depended on for their very survival. Once they had the children, they had even more leverage over the tribal people. But this is just a single example of how government can weaponize food. There is so much more to the story. But today I leave us with this. When we know better, we do better. There are solutions in the book. Talking about social justice issues can be a serious bummer. Reading about this topic was as interesting as it was dark. Sometimes we have to examine the darkness to see where the light can crack through. For the final reading, Heather is going to continue.
Social movements are key to making substantial legal changes. Armed with knowledge and conviction that current food law and policy is unconstitutional, racial and food justice advocates can drive political reform. All the significant civil rights victories have come after years or decades-long campaigns driven by activists. The fight for food justice will be no different.
In the spirit of gratitude, I would like to acknowledge the privilege that I experience when it comes to sacred gastronomy. I am grateful that I am able to choose foods that I put into my body. I am grateful for books like the ones we discussed today that can open my eyes and my heart to the notion that not everyone has those same choices. I am grateful that I have a community of like-minded people to share my joys and my sorrows with. I am grateful to our social justice team for their efforts in bringing these important issues to the forefront of our lives. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you today. When I was talking about my year that I spent in Pennsylvania and I was getting so emotional, my father did pass a couple of years ago, and I was just really feeling all of that for a minute. And to stand up here and unexpectedly feel this wave of emotion and be a little scared because I'm standing up here feeling this wave of emotion and looking out at you guys, and it's you guys. And then I could just relax into it because it's you, and I'm safe here. I'm so grateful for that. Not everybody gets to have that. But in this moment, today, I get to have that. Thank you, and blessed be. Oops, I moved the script. And Zach is going to come up. We're going to spotlight a couple of organizations, local organizations, and Zach did a really great job putting some stuff together for us. So thank you. Thanks, Zach.
Wow, it's really tough to follow Kelly. She's so vulnerable and good at being brave like that. So what I have down is that, you know. Oh, yes. Test, test, test. Okay. Well, what I have down here is that as we're attenuating ourselves to the rhythm of the shorter days and sensing, synchronizing with the cadence of fall, preparing for the leaner months to come, wanted to talk a little bit more about food systems, like the books that she was alluding to. Food systems are so much more than just the production and distribution of what we eat. Like the equinox, they represent the transformation of energies within nature. By observing and celebrating the autumn equinox, we're taking nature's pulse at a critical moment of balance that serves as a reminder to advocate for justice and fairness within our food system. The Caring Place of Georgetown estimates that nearly 83,000 residents across Williamson County experience food insecurity. And at the grocery store, on average, groceries that hit your shopping cart travel 1,500 miles to get there. These are statistics that are symptoms of a sick food system, one that disconnects us from the land and from each other and from the natural cycle of the seasons. It's said that you can count the seeds in an apple, but you can't count the apples in a seed. The Roots That Bind Us as a local nonprofit focus on healing the sick system by transforming properties here in Georgetown into regenerative food forests that promote sustenance and community connection. And there's more information in the back. I really encourage you to check that out to deepen your engagement with our food system.
Thank you, Zach. We take an offering each week to sustain the spiritual home and support the work of our fellowship. If you are visiting, we invite you to fill out a visitor card, which you can put in the plate or return to the visitor table in the back. For offertory music, we have Blessing by Donna Hebert, arranged by Sandra Peasley, performed by our amazing choir. The offering will now be gratefully received. Thank you.
May the eastern blazing bless you. Lift your spirit, make them fly. May the southern sun shine on you, warm your heart and help you try. May the western waters cleanse you, washing over all you fear.
Northern earth be yours to stand in, around you so you know
What's real? Over all be strength and beauty, food and friends and music find. Work and love and pleasant duty, love and making spirit shine. And these I wish upon you, multiply them 3 by 3. Draw a circle all around you, and forever blessed be.
Our second hymn is We Sing Now Together, number 67 in the gray hymnal. We are singing all 4 verses. The lyrics will be projected. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able.
We sing now together a song of thanksgiving, rejoicing in goods which we ages have wrought, for life that unfolds us and helps and heals and holds us, and leads beyond the goals which our forebears once sought. We sing of the freedoms which martyrs and heroes have won by their labor, their sorrow, their pain, the oppressed and friending, and ampler hopes defending. Their death becomes a triumph, they died not in vain. We sing of the prophets, the teachers, the dreamers, designers, creators, and workers and seers. Our lives extending, our gratitude commending. Their deeds have made immortal their days and their years. We sing of community now in the making, in every continent, region, and land, with those of all races, all times, and all places. We pledge ourselves in confidence firmly to stand.
Now it is time for announcements. New member orientation. Are you interested in finding out more about SGUUF? Join us for the new member orientation on Sunday, October 5th in the Fellowship House at noon after the service. Childcare will be available. Sign up at the welcome table. And if you have any questions, ask Pat Berthold or Pan Hibbard. Joining ceremony. A joining ceremony for new members will be held during the service on Sunday, October 26th. Also, sign up at the welcome table if you would like to participate in the joining ceremony. There is a lay leader training next Sunday for all interested congregants. That's Sunday, September 28th in the sanctuary. New name badges are on the name badge table in front of the tech station. So back over there in the corner. Music team, October meeting planned for October 12th, location to be determined. Bring ideas for holidays and music that you'd like to hear for anthems and offertories if you're interested in being involved in music. Early voting begins October 20th. Last day to register is October 6th. 17 amendments have been proposed for the November 2025 ballot. Oh, Judy Hume is starting up her backyard concert series live at the 505. If you haven't been, you don't know, and I've been, so I do know. It is a good time. She has amazing artists and an evening of fellowship. It's going to be Saturday, October 4th, 6 p.m. potluck, 7 p.m. music. Details will be on the bulletin. Sun City Democrats are holding a quilt raffle next Saturday. Please see Pat Berthold for tickets. All right, those are the announcements.
As we prepare to return to the world, we remind ourselves through our affirmation to carry our work from this place to every corner of our lives. Please join me in the call and response. Love is the doctrine of this church. We are here to love. The quest of truth is its sacrament. We are here to learn. Service is its prayer. We are here to care for others. To dwell together in peace. We are here to live in peace. To seek knowledge in freedom. We are here to honor our differences. To serve humanity in fellowship. To the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. We are here to grow. Thus we do covenant with one another. This we promise to do together. Please join me in reciting the words to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame to remind us love is the center. As we explore and rest, engage and heal, love remains the center. When all we can see is cold ashes, love remains.
May your thoughts be wise, may your lips speak truth, may your heart know love, and your hands do good work all the days of your life.